So my new art room is coming along little by little. I'm getting more things moved in here, and I'll try to put in a little bit of footage. My old studio is looking really good to me. I'm really getting through things and feeling like I have more of a handle on what I have, and how I can use it and how I can keep track of it, and even just how I can have it easily accessible, which wasn't true for a very long time. So this video kind of piggybacks off the last one of starting to get moved in here. I've been working on my inspiration board, or my inspiration corner, the last week, and then I sewed up a little handkerchief curtain a few days ago. I was originally just going to share kind of how I made my inspiration board. And then I was going to do that last week with just a very short video. And then when I looked at my intro that I shot in front of my windows, it was so blown out from the windows just being overexposed that I thought, well, I need to make a curtain. And then I thought, probably if you're like me, and a lot of you are a lot like me, that's why you're here, you have a lot of vintage linens and handkerchiefs and all kinds of, embroidery and handiwork that you've stashed away because you think it's precious, but maybe you have way more than what you can ever set out on, as decor items. So you may be looking to make like a handkerchief curtain, which I've wanted to do for several years. So I'll show you quickly, not in depth, but just kind of an overview of making these two things. They are a great way to use up stashes of materials that you have, either, letters, cards, anything that you've saved because it's beautiful or it means something, either, linens or fabric wise, or paper ephemera wise. These are perfect projects for that. They're also very nice projects to do when the weather is bad. Great winter projects, great rainy day projects, great for if you've got the winter blues, or if you're just needing to freshen up your space, or get a little better or brighter perspective. These will help with that. So hopefully you enjoy. So my plan is to kind of pick several things that are the most meaningful, I suppose, or the most important. And so that will probably be like this card from my grandma, one of the later cards that she was able to, not one, I don't know, it's her handwriting hasn't gotten super wobbly here, but this was in the last few years. By the last year, she really didn't send cards, and her handwriting got to where you just couldn't read it at all. Anyway, and then I've got this, these are actually song lyrics by, and I may mispronounce how she says her name because she's new to me, but Juliana Chahayed, maybe. She has this beautiful song called Into the Unknown, and I ran across it the other day, and it just seemed so apt and really spoke to me where I am right now. Kind of going into a new season of creating a new art room. Just so anyway, this isn't there's one more like verse, but this is the one that really speaks to me. Led through the mist by the milk light of moon, all that was lost is revealed, our long bygone burdens, mere echoes of spring. But where have we come, and where shall we end? If dreams can't come true, then why not pretend? I won't, I mean, I'll let it speak to you. But for me, I think I've been doing that in my art all along is, I guess sometimes I think, oh, I'm being juvenile, or I focus on just kind of the goody-goody naive stuff. But I think that the world is very difficult for many of us, and I guess that I like to go someplace that is kinder and more gentle and a little bit magical and just loving when I make art, because that doesn't always just feel like how all of my life is, or all my days just feel so easy and sweet and innocent like that. Sometimes they don't feel like that. And so I've always felt, or for a lot of years have felt like, or have recognized in my art, that I create sort of in opposition to what is sometimes my default way of looking at things or functioning in the world. So anyway, I've got all kinds of things here, but I'm going to start with kind of what I'm going to think of as the bones, which will probably involve a few pieces of fabric and lace or different things like that, and some wallpaper, and then the most important things, and then I will work out from there. Okay, so gather your materials, whatever is really speaking to you. It can be anything. It can be dried flowers. It can be little scraps of notes, things that your children or children in your life have made for you. Fabric, wallpaper, cards from people, pages out of books, poetry, song, lyrics, anything that makes your heart glad, or is comforting to you, or is going to inspire you to be more creative. I would have to say it was not easy to make an inspiration corner in my beadboard walls. They are not a hospitable surface for thumbtacks or pins. So I really struggled, and I hope that most of you will be able to use real corkboard or something softer than wainscot or beadboard. So I have the lines of poetry that I shared towards the beginning. I have that in a few places. I have art that friends have sent me. I have my grandma's card. I have little pieces of art from Nettie. I have cards and postcards, wallpaper. There you can see a photo of either grandma or a great aunt celebrating May Day near the turn of the century. I have pages out of old books that have some of the animals that I draw a lot. It helps me for reference. more art from friends, and a few pieces of my own that I've really liked the past year. There's Grandma, one of the few photos I have of her, a beautiful swallow from a friend, and some of my favorite flowers from botanical books. And then I have some of the last flowers I ever took to Grandma. The last ones were Sweet William in a bouquet that we had in her hospital room. So I pressed those, and we'll keep them here for a while longer. I've wanted to make a hanky curtain for about 4 years, I think. I had a friend share hers on Instagram, and it was gorgeous. Mine didn't turn out that gorgeous, but it turned out pretty well, and I'm happy with it. I'm proud of myself for doing it because anything that involves a sewing machine, I avoid. I probably have enough materials to make curtains for all the windows in my house. But um, I'm glad I have one done. One in my pocket, and maybe I will get a few more done. I think you could use anything. You could use tablecloths, pillowcases, sheets, table runners, anything that is embroidered would be good for this. I have seen the floral print hankies. Those are beautiful. So I took some rough measurements of my window so that I had an idea of how to lay out my linens. But what I didn't do or didn't take into account was that I didn't want to cover my grandma's window casings. And that's not really how I measured and designed the curtain the first time. So I had it sewed up and ready to put up, and then realized, oh, I made this way too long and way too wide because I want all of the casings to be visible, even with the curtain up. So I did have to go back and cut the top off my curtain, and then rather than using kind of a regular curtain rod and tacking the nails into the woodwork on the outside of the window, I got a tension rod, and that way I could keep all of the casing visible. What I would say is just think about how much of your window you want covered, and if you want the curtain to come past the windowsill, do you put things on your windowsill? These are all things that I didn't think about very well before I jumped in. But if you do end up with a curtain that is not exactly what you needed or wanted, these are pretty flexible and forgiving, I would say, and you can go back and make adjustments later and fudge things if you need to, or at least I was able to. If you don't have a sewing machine, or if you're afraid of sewing machines like I am, you can definitely sew this by hand. I've even seen some where people just sewed they just tacked the handkerchiefs together with what's called a tailor's tack, which is basically just little X embroidered, every inch or so to tack the hankies together. Some people just did like 4 strips of 4 and hooked them around with loops at the top and didn't even sew all those hankies together. They just let them they said they liked the way they kind of wafted on the breeze. So there's lots of ways to do this that don't involve a sewing machine, and you can just kind of do whatever feels good for you. think it turned out really sweet and romantic, and it makes the light in here less harsh and more kind of ambient and cozy. So I hope this was something that you enjoyed seeing and that you might want to try to do on your own if you haven't. And I thank you as always for watching and for being with me today. And I wish you happy making.